Welcome to Blueprint Viral News. Today we're diving into the latest 338 Canada projections for the upcoming 2025 federal election. With shifting poll numbers and seat estimates, who holds the edge as we move closer to Election Day? Let's break down the numbers, region by region, and see where the major parties stand. National seat overview. At the national level, the Liberal Party of Canada, LPC, remains in the lead with a projected 187 seats, but there's a noticeable decline. Their seat range spans from 162 to 217, meaning their majority is far from guaranteed. Meanwhile, the Conservative Party of Canada, CPC, is gaining momentum, currently projected to secure 129 seats, an increase from previous estimates. Their potential seat range is 102 to 152 dots, making them a serious contender if momentum continues in their favor. The Bloc Québécois, BQ, is also seeing an upward trend, projected to win 21 seats, with a range from 11 to 28. But the biggest setback in this projection comes for the New Democratic Party, NDP, which is struggling at just 5 seats, a sharp decline. Their seat range is between 0 and 12, which means they could potentially be wiped out completely. And finally, the Green Party, GPC, holds on to a single projected seat, fluctuating between 0 and 2 in this model. Regional breakdown. Now, let's break down these numbers region by region to see where the battle is intensifying across Canada. Atlantic Canada, 32 federal seats. In Atlantic Canada, the Liberals are still dominant, projected to win 27 seats. However, they're seeing a slight dip, with their range spanning from 23 to 31. Meanwhile, the Conservatives are making small gains, now projected at 5 seats, with the potential to win anywhere between 1 and 9. The NDP and Greens are struggling here, with no projected gains. Quebec, 78 federal seats. Quebec remains an interesting battleground. The Liberals continue to lead with 43 seats, though their range is broad, from 37 to 54. The Bloc Québécois, which has historically been strong in the province, is making steady gains, now projected to win 21 seats, potentially climbing as high as 28. The Conservatives are still fighting for relevance in Quebec, currently sitting at 13 seats, with a range from 10 to 15. Meanwhile, the NDP, once a major force in the province, is barely holding on with just 1 projected seat, a stunning collapse from its past highs. Ontario, 122 federal seats. Ontario, the most crucial province in this election, remains a Liberal stronghold with 81 projected seats. However, the numbers show a potential shift, with their range fluctuating between 68 and 91 seats. The Conservatives are also competitive here, projected to win 40 seats, with a possible range from 30 to 51. The NDP is in serious trouble, with projections between 0 and 4 seats, meaning they could be entirely wiped out in Ontario. Meanwhile, the Greens have a small but possible presence, holding 1 projected seat, though they could slip to 0. Prairies, 28 federal seats. The Prairie provinces are still solidly conservative, with the CPC leading at 19 seats, potentially reaching 21. The Liberals are projected to secure 7 seats, though they could drop to as low as 5 or rise to 10. The NDP, which has historically done well in this region, is struggling with only 2 seats projected, with the possibility of winning none. Alberta, 37 federal seats. Alberta remains a conservative fortress. The CPC is projected to dominate with 32 seats, with their numbers ranging from 26 to 36. The Liberals, however, still have a small presence, projected to win 4 seats, but their chances range from 0 to 10, meaning they could be completely shut out. As for the NDP, they have a slim chance, projected to win anywhere between 0 and 2 seats. British Columbia, 43 federal seats. BC is shaping up to be a competitive province. The Conservatives are slightly ahead, projected to win 22 seats, but their range varies between 16 and 28. The Liberals are closely behind, projected at 20 seats. with their numbers ranging between 14 and 25. The NDP, once a significant player in British Columbia, is now projected to win only one seat, with a possibility of securing 0 to 3 seats. The Green Party, which has historically had some support here, is at risk of disappearing with 0 projected seats. But they could win one if trends shift in their favor. Territories, 3 federal seats. Finally, in the 3 northern territories, the Liberals are expected to sweep, winning all 3 seats, though their numbers could drop to 1. The NDP and Conservatives are in contention, but neither is projected to make major gains, with their ranges fluctuating between 0 and 1 seats. National vote projection. Starting with the national picture, the Liberal Party of Canada, LPC, leads with 42% support, but with a 5% margin of error. Their actual vote share could be anywhere between 37% and 47%. The Conservative Party of Canada, CPC, follows closely at 38%, and with a 4% margin, their real support could range between 34% and 42%, showing potential for an even tighter race. Meanwhile, the New Democratic Party, NDP, is at 9%, but their 2% margin means they could realistically be anywhere between 7% and 11%. The Bloc Québécois, BQ, which runs only in Quebec, sits at 6% nationally, with a range between 5% and 7%. And finally, the Green Party, GPC, holds at 3%, but with a 2% margin, they could be as low as 1% or as high as 5%. Regional breakdown. In Atlantic Canada, the Liberals are still dominant, projected at 55%, but with a 7% margin, their actual support could range from 48% to 62%. The Conservatives are gaining ground at 33%, with a possible range between 27% and 39%. The NDP struggles at 7%, fluctuating between 4% and 10%, while the Greens hold steady at 3%, possibly ranging from 1% to 5%. In Quebec, the Liberals are ahead with 41%. But with a 6% margin, their actual support could be anywhere between 35% and 47%. The Bloc Québécois, traditionally strong in the province, stands at 25%, ranging between 21% and 29%. The Conservatives are competitive at 23%, with their real support likely between 19% and 27%. The NDP, once a powerhouse in Quebec, now sits at 6%, fluctuating between 4% and 8%, while the Greens hold at 3%, ranging between 1% and 5%. Ontario remains a battleground province. The Liberals lead with 47%, but with a 6% margin. Their actual support could be anywhere from 41% to 53%. The Conservatives are not far behind at 39%, with their range falling between 33% and 45%. The NDP is at 8%, meaning their actual support is between 5% and 11%, while the Greens at 3% could be anywhere from 1% to 5%. In the prairies, the Conservatives hold the lead with 48%, though their actual support could range from 42% to 54%. The Liberals sit at 33%, fluctuating between 28% and 38%. Meanwhile, the NDP at 12% could range from 8% to 16%. Alberta remains a Conservative stronghold. The CPC leads at 57%. But with a 6% margin, their real support could be anywhere from 51% to 63%. The Liberals at 27% have a range between 22% and 32%, while the NDP at 10% could be between 7% and 13%. British Columbia is neck and neck. The Liberals lead with 40%, but their actual range is between 34% and 46%. The Conservatives are just behind at 39%, meaning their real support could be anywhere from 33% to 45%. The NDP holds 14%, fluctuating between 10% and 18%, while the Greens at 5% could range from 2% to 8%. Finally, in the territories, the Liberals are projected at 46%, with their real support potentially ranging from 37% to 55%. The Conservatives at 29% could be anywhere between 21% and 37%. The NDP at 18% is fluctuating between 11% and 25%, while the Greens at 5% could be anywhere between 1% and 9%. As we inch closer to the 2025 federal election, the race remains dynamic. with liberal and conservative gains in key battlegrounds. Will these trends hold, or is another political shakeup on the horizon? Stay tuned to Blueprint Viral News for the latest updates and in-depth analysis. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more election insights.